Hello beautiful people and welcome to today's healing subscription. So for today's session we have the Wands of Horus cards. I've got a few over here. We're going to combine this with life alignment protocols and we'll put it all together to do our session for today. So let's get into our work and let's see what comes up in today's session. So let's start with our tuning. And find what it is that you want to focus on in today's session. Perhaps close your eyes and just think about what you would like to receive, let go of, heal, or bring into your life. And just formulate that in your mind. Once you know what that is, you may open your eyes and allow your eyes to rest on that light code, or perhaps trace the lines, whatever is appropriate for you today. And just focusing on what you would like to receive, what you would like to let go of, what you would like to heal, what you would like to bring into your life. And then we're going to move on. If you needed to pause, you can do the video. You know the drill by now. You can pause whenever you need to. So let's have a look at what came through in the dowsing that I did before the session started. So let's look at my notes. I've got all my notes ready here, as always. So first of all, you would have your own goal or your own intention. So for today's session with life alignment, you know the drill already as well. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know that there's going to be emotions that's coming up and there's going to be questions and all kinds of things, and what we want to do is we want to try and see how that is relevant and how that connects with your goal and with your intention for today's session. Okay, so very important, keep bringing it back to your goal, keep bringing it back to your intention. Whatever the emotion is, don't go to haul it out in the backyard or something. Bring it back to today's focus, intention, whatever that may be. See how it's relevant, and if it's not relevant, see how it can possibly be relevant. If an emotion comes up that you go, I don't connect with this emotion at all ever in my life, I haven't had it, then imagine what it would feel like. So these emotions, the words that come up, is not necessarily the actual true emotion, but it's about what feeling it stirs up within you, and it's that feeling that we are looking for. Even if you don't have any words for that feeling, just feel what it feels like, and that's what we're working with. Okay, so as we always say with life alignment, the deeper you feel, the deeper you heal. So this is very important for today's session. Okay, so let's have a look. Our emotion that came up, this is in relation to your goal, is relief, and it's in relation to resentment. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Relief in relation to resentment. So perhaps there's resentment that you let go of and it brought relief, or perhaps being resentful or feeling resentment brings some form of relief. It sounds weird, but remember, when we feel an emotion, we're allowing it to do its job. If we suppress the emotion, it's like putting it in a pressure cooker and it builds up pressure. So if you don't allow yourself to feel resentment, then it's going to build up. Okay, so perhaps there's some resentment that you let go of, or perhaps you spoke about it. I don't know. See how that relates to your goal and intention. The dimension here is conception. So this takes it right back to when you were in the womb, you were conceived. So perhaps this resentment is not even yours. Perhaps it is your parents' resentment, perhaps your mom's. So usually when conception comes up, it's more related to the mother side. So again, just see how that fits in and ties in with your goal. Then we have a sabotage or an excuse. And just before we carry on, I'm going to invite you to hit pause whenever you need to think about something. So really just like, I'm not going to see how many times you hit pause. Go for it. That pause button is yours to hit. So whenever you need to think about something, just hit pause and really just feel into that. Remember, the more time you set aside for this work, the better it will be for you as well. So our excuse or our sabotage is I have abundant energy, or I do not have abundant energy. So if you have abundant energy, what do you use that abundant energy on? Do you use it on your goal, or do you use it as on distractions? If you do not have abundant energy, you do not have abundant energy for your goal, or is it that you just don't have abundant energy and therefore you cannot move where you need it to go? Okay, so just feel into that. Our sabotage emotion is peaceful and it's in relation to tragedy. I always struggle with this word. Tragedy. Doesn't work on my tongue. So peaceful in relation to tragedy. What does that mean for you? And how does that relate to I have abundant energy, I do not have abundant energy, and how does that connect with your goal or your intention for today? Okay, right. So with life alignment, what we do is, now that we've got that information, that's our base, our setup, now we want to look at what the priorities are within the body, and we're going to stack those in, and then we're going to look at other things stacking on top of that, so cards and emotions. Okay, so let's have a look at our priority points. I've marked them in rainbow colors to make it easy to find where they are and look, and also just the order. So we're going to go from red to orange to yellow to green. So first one that came up, priority point, is the left lung. So if you want to, you can just take one finger and place that on that lung point. It's sort of next to the side of the rib cage, so just where the rib cage starts curling back, and maybe about in the center of the sternum. So not the xiphoid process, the little tail that you've got at the base of your sternum. So if you take it just from the middle of the sternum and go sideways, and then just find that point. That's the lung point, lung left. So maybe just hold on to that point for now. Lungs are about receiving the outside world into the inside world. Left is about the future. So this is about receiving, being open to receive what comes into your life. Perhaps we are struggling with receiving. So that is our first point that we've got. And once you've got that point, just tap just behind the hairline. Just go tap, tap. That's just to say we put that information in. Next is the ascending colon, and so what you're going to do is you'll use a knife edge with the side of your hand. So you're taking the side of the hand and you're putting that between the ribs and the hip bone, basically on the side where your ascending colon would be. So just hold your hand there. The ascending colon is the first part where the colon starts taking up the nutrients. Now colon mainly works with taking moisture out of the chyme and the fecal matter, and then it will sort out toxins that needs to go through to kidneys or to the liver. And one of the big jobs of the colon is to absorb things like vitamin B that we get from the intestinal bacteria that lives within the colon. So all of those things are very necessary. So removing toxins, removing moisture and water, so for recycling, and also getting some nutrients in. So this is the first part of that colon. Many times people are actually blocked up on this side, and it could also be about letting go. So you've got your knife edge there, and then just tap on the hairline, tap, tap. Next point is DNA. So it's right in the middle of the bridge of your nose. Just one finger on that tip and just hold that one there. DNA normally talks about our programming. This is our deep programming that comes from years ago. It comes from our parents, from their parents, from their parents, from their parents. And it's also the setup that you have, your template that you have in this life. So again, just tap, tap. And then the final point that we have is Viron. It's a little bit harder to find, so you're going to go to your navel, and it's just next to the navel, and it's on the right side. So just one finger on that point. I don't know why I said it's harder to find. It's actually quite easy to find. If we're looking at from a life alignment perspective, usually we've got these lines that helps us to find the points, and the Viron is not sitting on a line, just like the lung is also not sitting on the line. So my brain was just like programming something in there. So Viron is about small particles or external it could be viruses, or it could be parts of viruses. So this could be leftover material from viruses that you had. It could be even leftover particles from vaccinations or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be from now. It could be from years and years and years ago. It's leftover particles that's still circulating within the system. It's not always bad. Sometimes these things help us with our immune system, but there could be, and when it comes up as a priority point, it's usually something we need to let go of, or something we need to release or want to, let go of. So once you've got that point, just tap that in, tap, tap. Okay, so we're just going to put all of these together. We're just going to connect them up. So you're going to start with your left lung. So I'll start with my left hand on the left lung point. Then I go with my knife edge to the ascending colon, and then with my left hand again to the DNA point, and with my right hand to the Viron point. And once you've got that, you tap, tap it in, tap, tap. And we can let go. So that's just our little parcel of information that we brought in. Then our Wands of Horus cards that came in is, let me just quickly grab those. We've got the Heart card. I'll bring it a bit closer so you can see, but you can see it over there. We have a Sekem, or Power. And then we've got the Synchronicity card, the purple one. Okay, so the Heart card is sitting on the duodenum. So the duodenum is that entry point where the stomach stomach meets into the small intestine, that little tube that connects the small intestine and the stomach. So we've got the Heart card over there, and then we've got Synchronicity is sitting on small parasites. So small parasites could be cell size parasites, or it could be maybe worms or something. This could also be just metaphorical or symbolic, where we're talking about perhaps people who are parasites in your world, but it's small parasites, so it's not like big vampires. And then we've got Sekem on your neurotransmitters on the head. And so neurotransmitters is obviously about how the brain fires up and how the brain works. So that's that. Then we have our emotions. Let me just quickly see what I've got. No, this is the next one. Okay, then we've got our emotions. So here there's going to be a lot. We've got quite a few to work through. So the best thing to do here is to feel into each of the emotions, and then we're going to be tapping those in as well. So our first emotion is sacrifice, and it's in relation to compromise. Sacrifice in relation to compromise. Now, feel into what that would feel like within your body to sacrifice in relation to compromise. And just feel that deeply. So if you've got exactly what it is about and you feel it, that's good. If you don't connect with this, imagine what sacrifice and compromise would mean for you. How would it feel if you had to compromise and sacrifice? And where would you feel it in the body? And then once you've got that emotion, you're going to tap it in sort of just on your crown, so a little bit further back. Tap, tap. Next we've got adoration, and it's in relation to parenting. Adoration in relation to parenting. Perhaps you are adoring, or there's adoration sent to your parents, or perhaps you like the feeling of being adored in relation to your parenting style, whatever that may mean for you. So adoration in relation to parenting. Feel what that feels like, and where do you feel that? And then once you've got that, tap it in on your crown. Tap, tap. Then we go to the opposite end, stifled in relation to family life. Stifled in relation to family life. What does this mean, especially in relation to your goal? And also, how does that feel? Where are you stifled in your family life? Feel that? And tap that in. Tap, tap. Then we've got outspoken in relation to intention. Feel what that feels like. And also, try and make a connection with what that means for you. And again, whenever you need to, you're welcome to pause. Outspoken in relation to intention. Tap that in. Hesitant in relation to spirit. Where do you hesitate to maybe invite spirit in? Where do you hesitate to hand over the reins to spirit? Feel that. And tap it in. And then our last one, distracted in relation to ruthlessness. So where do perhaps other people's ruthlessness distract you? Where do you distract yourself through your own ruthlessness? Or how does ruthlessness cause distractions within your life? Perhaps it blinds you in some way. Again, just feel into this, whatever is appropriate for you. Feel where it feels within the body. Tap it in. And now we want to put all of that together. So in our main setup that we have, our first point that we have is the lung point. So the lung point becomes our folder for everything. So place one finger on that lung point, and it doesn't matter whether it's left or right. And close your eyes, and I want you to really feel into what we've spoken about today. So you've got your finger on the lung point, and just feel into everything. How you perhaps feel relief in relation to resentment. How you have a lot of energy or you lack energy. And where do you have lots of energy? Where do you lack energy? Are you open to receiving what comes from the future? Do you let go of what no longer serves? What is your programming all about? Do you have small parasites in your life? Whether this be people or events. Where did you have to make sacrifices and compromises? Where are you stifled in your family life? Are you outspoken with your intentions, or do you perhaps need to be more outspoken with your intentions? Where do you hesitate in life, and what's your connection like with spirit? And how do distractions play into your life? Perhaps where do you need to be more ruthless? Or where are you ruthless? And while we're talking about distractions and ruthlessness, this is our main focus in today's session. The dimension on this is no perception. No perception on distracted in relation to ruthlessness, which means it happens subconsciously. It's quiet, it's in the background, you only notice it later. So today's session is about bringing that to the surface and bringing that to the awareness, because when and if it is in your awareness, you can work with it. And so once you've got all of that in, then you're going to tap just behind the hairline, tap, tap, just to get all of that feelings in, and then you can let go of your lung point. Okay, right. Let's have a quick look at archetypes. So we've got our priority archetype. The negative archetype that we're wanting to let go of is the mediator. So the mediator, they are your peacekeepers. So sometimes peacekeeping can stand in your way, and sometimes there could be hidden agendas in your peacekeeping. Our positive archetype that we want to bring in, and this is a weird one, but I've learned that we can normally get weird things here in these group sessions, is slave. So the slave archetype in the positive is about surrendering your power to the divine. So completely trusting the divine to help you, guide you, and steer you in the right direction. So it's not giving your power away to anybody else except for the divine. And so you become a co-creator with the divine. I also, as always, like to check in for an Aurasoma bottle, and the bottle that came up is bottle 44, and this is called the Guardian Angel, and this is all about transforming negativity into peace. And so this is about being inspired and in contact with your higher self and also with the divine. I love how all of these things just connect, and as always, I'm dowsing these things, and as I douse one thing, I don't look back at what I've dowsed before. So every single block that I douse, block of information, is brand new and fresh for me, and I do my analysis now only. I don't do analysis while I'm doing the dowsing. So I'm as surprised as you when I get to these things. It's also about connection to the realm of angels. And the challenges within this particular bottle is about not being grounded, or about a lot of doubts, or it could be about wishful thinking, like you deceiving yourself with wishful thinking. And so what this particular bottle does is it helps us to ground, it helps us to trust and flow with divine inspiration. And it helps us to set a clear motivation or clear direction where we're going. The affirmation that goes with this bottle is, I let go and do not expect anything. I let go and I do not expect anything. I let go and I do not expect anything. Of course, expectation leads to disappointment, so I get to see where that one goes. Okay. So if you wanted to, you could bring these colors into your life, the lilac and the pale blue. Wear it as clothes. Oh, actually, wow. I'm actually wearing that. I've seen there's a little lilac over here, there's some blue over here, and there's some more lilac further towards the bottom. Okay, so clearly these energies definitely want to come through. I just noticed that. So let's get cracking with our balance for today. Okay, so balance wise with life alignment, this is about the questioning process and about really feeling into where this is all driving. So what you're going to do for correction points today, we have the bladder point, and so the bladder point is literally right down just above your pubic bone, so you can place one hand on the bladder point and the other hand is on the solar plexus. The solar plexus is just under the ribs in that soft part of your belly. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to place your hands. You can keep your hands in those locations throughout this part of the work, or you could sit, stand, lie, whatever is comfortable for you. Walk, whatever works for you. And if you find an area where the emotions get a bit tight or tough, or you're struggling with it, then place your hands on those 2 points, the bladder point and the solar plexus point. And whenever you feel that you've got the subconscious coming in and the subconscious working, and you always like come back afterwards and go like, damn, I should have recognized this already, or I always keep doing this. Those are patterns where the subconscious comes in, especially if it's to do with self-destruct, where you become your worst enemy or you stand in your own way of receiving things or meeting goals and things like that. So whenever you get that little, I always do that, bladder and solar plexus. Okay, so those 2 points are there to balance that. Doesn't matter which hand is above or below, whatever works for you, and you can even keep swapping throughout. Okay, so let's get cracking with the session. So I'm going to put us in onto the tune in sign, and this is where we will remain for this. And you are going to close your eyes, nice slow deep breathing, and let's move with our prompts. So our first question that comes up is, who do you feel you need to communicate with? And what is it that you need to say? What is it that you need to communicate with this person or group of people? So this is all about, where are you holding back in your communication? What is it that you need to talk about? And how are you going to talk about that? This one is quite loaded, so you may need to pause over here and give yourself the time to do that, because what you want to do here is you want to really visualize yourself having this conversation, saying what it is that you want to say, that you have to say, and how would be the best way to say this. Now, typically in a one-on-one session, we would actually go into role play mode over here, and we would practice this. So you will need to do this for yourself. What do you need to communicate, and how do you say that? Next, we're going into forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean that you agree with what's been done, or that you accept fully what's been done. Well, we do accept, but it's happened. But it is about letting go of the feelings that's around that hurt. Because if you let go of those feelings, you cannot be controlled by that anymore. So who is it that you need to let, or who do you need to forgive? And what I invite you to do is to imagine this person in front of you. If you have a few people, let's focus on one in this session for now, and then you can always come back and do the rest as well. Imagine this person standing in front of you. You may want to put yourselves in your safe space, whatever that may be for you. It could be a real or an imagined place. Because in your safe space, you are in control. This is your space, so the other person has to do what you say. You could even surround yourself with a cocoon of light, and perhaps even surround the other person with a cocoon of light. Once you feel ready and secure and safe, you take this other person by the hand, look into their eyes, and say something like, I know you, I know who you are, I know that you are a soul, just like me. And I want to thank you for playing your role so perfectly, because we all here as actors, acting out roles, and you stayed in character the whole time. And thank you for staying in character, because through that you gave me the experience that I required. If you stepped out of character, I would not have received this experience. So I thank you for this. I love you, and I forgive you, and I set you free. I let you go. If you want to, you can hug the person. Otherwise, just let go of their hands and see them fade away. Just looking to the side, you may find that there's a group of people with no faces, these faceless people. Those are people that you may have hurt, whether this be directly or indirectly, and that is due to being hurt yourself. So just towards the group or the collective, just say to them that you are sorry and ask for their forgiveness. And because you are working with their higher selves, they will understand and they will forgive. And once you feel that they've given you that forgiveness, then you can let them go. And then you turn around and see yourself standing there. So you look into your own eyes and you say, I love you. Please forgive me. I forgive you. And you can give yourself a big hug. And as you do, you merge with yourself. Feel that fullness in your heart. And know that you are free. So I want you to connect to God, whatever this may mean for you. This could be Source, the Creator, the Goddess, whatever divine force sits right on top of this whole hierarchy of divine beings. Allow yourself to make that connection with God or Goddess, whatever is appropriate for you. What emotion comes up when you connect to this divine being? How does this emotion make you feel? Now, connect to yourself. When we talk here about yourself, we're talking about all of you. Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all levels and layers of you. And just get a sense of how this feels, especially since you've just connected with that God, Goddess, divine being. How does it feel to connect to yourself? Now, allow yourself to connect to your body, to your physical body, and all the components that make up your body. Your bones, muscles, tendons, ligaments, organs, glands, all the bacteria, good and bad. Get a sense of what that feels like, especially since you're comparing that to the connection to God and the connection to your full self. And this leads us to the next question. Do you need to ask for help? Or do you need help? Where in your life do you need help? Where do you need to ask for help? Asking for help is not necessarily a weakness. And so just look into that. Where do you need to ask for help? Next, we want to connect to a Deva or a Devi. Devas are group consciousness beings. So you could get a deva for grass or for trees. You could get a deva for a specific species of trees. You could get a deva for crystals, for anything. So it's the group consciousness of whatever it is that you're connecting with. For example, if you wanted to learn more about technology, you could connect with the deva of technology. And then if there's specific technology you want to connect with, you could refine it down and say, so I want to connect with the deva of technology, and then I want to connect with the deva of cell phones because I don't understand how my new cell phone works. Okay, so something like that. If you wanted to learn more about crystals, you can connect with the deva of crystals. And then you could go down and say, well, I want to learn more about malachite. Then you can connect with the deva of malachite within the deva of crystal realm. So where do you need to connect with devas? So our previous question is, where do you need help? So perhaps it would be in relation to that. While you are connected with this deva or devi, express your emotion, and it usually starts with I feel. It could be anything. I feel frustrated, I feel sad, I feel lonely, I feel depressed, I feel heavy. Whatever it may be for you. Where do you need help? Now we want to connect to an ancestor, or perhaps it's even an entire lineage of ancestors. Whatever is appropriate for you again. Connect with those ancestors. Thread it through with all the emotions that you're feeling, the communication that needs to be done, the forgiveness work, where you need help, how this all ties in with your main goal. Connect to those appropriate ancestors. How much of what you're feeling belongs to your ancestors and their goals and their dreams? And I invite you to release those emotions back to the ancestors. So whatever does not belong to you that belongs to them, release that back to them. And this takes us through to our next question, which is, what does it feel like to feel nothing? So imagine you've taken all of those emotions, everything that does not belong to you, you've handed it back to the ancestors. You are welcome to even ask for help to do that. You've got your divine being behind you, you've got your devas and devis behind you, you've got yourself and your whole body. All of them can help. What does it feel like to feel nothing? Allow yourself to move into that numbness. What does that feel like? And then imagine yourself in your place of safety. This could be that real or imagined place. Just allow yourself to settle into that safe space. Knowing that no one, nothing can go into this place except if you're invited in. Just sit, stand, or lie in your safe space and really soak it all up. Feel what it feels like. Bring into this space anything that you need to bring in. clear out and release anything that you need to release. Drop into that feeling of no thing, nothing, numbness, that empty space, the clean slate, the space where you can receive, where you are open to receive, where you trust the divine beings around you, and where you can ask for help when you need it. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale. Suspend the breath. Allow it to crystallize within your being. Exhale. Inhale. Suspend the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Suspend the breath. Allow it to crystallize, crystallizing the experience. Exhale. And as you exhale, firmly plant your feet into the ground, or imagine that you're growing roots into the ground, and becoming aware of your body. And fluttering open your eyes, perhaps wiggling fingers and toes, coming back into the space. Welcome back. Okay, let's get everything anchored and grounded in. I'll take you through with our closing aspect. So I've got the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, and we are going to be spinning those into their locations. We're using the left temple and the left shoulder. So just anchoring those in. You can just sit nice and calm. Nothing to do. Okay, next, take two fingers, where's my hands? It's like thumb and index finger, that should be enough. From your eyes, draw a line down to the edge of the ribs. That's where those 2 points are at the bottom. And then equal distance that you would have from those two fingers up onto the sternum, that's your third point. So we're just pressing those 3 points. And then once you've got that, you're going to just tap on your brow or your hairline, and that's it. And then you're going to take your fingertips and you point your fingertips, one hand towards your tummy and one hand towards your sternum, and you're just holding those fingertips pointing towards the sternum, towards the chest, and the one towards the belly or the tummy. Just hold that gently there, just to allow the balance to occur. We're bridging the diaphragm, so we're working on the chest cavity as well as the abdominal cavity, and just bringing that balance and alignment between the two, and releasing any poisons and toxins that may be within the system. And then gently release. Next, you're going to make your fingers like a little clump together. So imagine you actually put a pencil in between your fingers, so it'll sit there. There's a little bit of a hole there, and then you can open your fingers a little bit more so that they form a nice little circle, and put that circle around your navel, and then the other hand on your third eye, and we're just holding that. We're balancing the meridian points and the meridian lines, acupuncture points within the system. Just breathe nice and slow and deep. then gently let go. And then 4 fingers in a row, that goes onto your brow, and other hand floating above your head. This is our alignment point. So getting you nicely into alignment. And then gently release, and then just take middle finger and press on the bone behind your ear, that mastoid process. Just press a little bit there. So hit our save button to let this balance go into its placement. Beautiful. So just take a moment to feel into what you're feeling. Perhaps take yourself back to your goal and intention that we started with. Earlier when we started with a goal and intention, how did you feel about that? How are you feeling about your goal and intention now? When we had the emotion of relief in relation to resentment, how did that feel for you? How does that feel now? When I bring up the excuse, I have abundant energy, I do not have abundant energy, how's your feelings about that now? And then peaceful in relation to tragedy. I'm going to get that word again. How does that feel now? Okay. So there's no right or wrong answers here, but hopefully you'll feel that there's some form of a shift. Hopefully you feel lighter or more open. And then for homework or support, we have movement and stretching. So this could be yoga or Tai Chi or just any stretch work. So remember, when we work with deep stretches, we're getting the fascia to release. That could release locked up emotions. So for stretching, for me, I like to stretch 3 to 5 minutes at least per stretch, so that I really get to work in the fascia. Anything less than that doesn't really stretch the fascia. Movement, that could be dance, it could be yoga, it could be Tai Chi, it could just be going for a walk where you would normally be sitting in an office or something. Even within an office space, perhaps changing your desk around so that you've got a standing desk instead of a seated desk. You do get those desks that you can get. I've got one of them, so at the moment mine's set to seated, but I can just lift my shelves up and then I can go to standing mode, which I do often. So just find a way that you can change your movement. And so that concludes our session for today. I hope that you received what you had to receive in today's session, and that you gained the clarity that you needed in today's session. And I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I see you in our next session. Take care. Bye.